What happens when two of the most outspoken women in media clash in front of millions? What unfolds when years of quiet tension finally erupt into the most uncomfortable television moment of the decade? Megyn Kelly dismantled Meghan Markle in a way that left the studio audience speechless and sent social media into a frenzy. This wasn't just another interview gone wrong. It was a masterclass in exposing contradictions live on national television. The View studio buzzed with its usual pre-show energy as Megyn Kelly walked on set as guest host. Producers had promoted the special for weeks, expecting her no-nonsense approach to shake up the show's usual rhythm. What they didn't expect was the explosion that followed when Meghan Markle arrived as the featured guest to discuss her latest philanthropic efforts. Markle sat down, her polished smile fixed in place, and launched into her prepared talking points on empowerment and social justice. "I've always believed we have a responsibility to use our platforms for good," she said with practiced sincerity. "That's why I'm so passionate about supporting organizations that help women and children worldwide." Kelly leaned forward, instincts already engaged. "That's interesting, Megyn. Can you tell us specifically which organizations you're working with right now, and what your involvement looks like day to day?" The question sounded simple, but Kelly's tone made Markle hesitate. "Well, there are several organizations, and I prefer to keep some of my work private. I don't believe in doing good deeds for publicity. How convenient." Kelly replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "So you're on national television talking about charity work, but you can't name the charities or describe what you do because you don't want publicity." The other hosts shifted uncomfortably. Joy Behar tried to lighten the moment, but Kelly pressed on, pulling a folder from beside her chair. "I did some research. According to public records, the Arkewell Foundation you and Harry founded has some very interesting financial disclosures." Markle's composure wavered. "I'm not sure what you're implying, but everything we do is transparent and above board." "I'm not implying," Kelly shot back. "I'm stating facts. Your foundation raised over $13 million, yet tax filings show less than 30% went to charitable causes. Where did the rest go?" The studio went silent. Markle tried to recover. "There are administrative costs. Building a foundation takes infrastructure, and staff need fair wages." "Of course," Kelly nodded. "Administrative costs like $200,000 to a PR firm, $300,000 in consulting fees to companies owned by personal friends, and nearly $500,000 in travel. That's quite a lot of administration for a foundation that gave away under $4 million. That's private business." Markle's tone tightened. "It isn't appropriate to discuss finances on television, but you spent the first 10 minutes talking about transparency," Kelly countered instantly. "So which is it? Transparent about your work or too private to discuss while asking the public to support your causes?" The hosts were silent. Even Whoopi Goldberg, usually quick to redirect, sat frozen as Kelly methodically unraveled Markle's narrative. Markle shifted tactics, her voice softening. "I think it's unfair to attack someone who's trying to make a difference. I've always cared about helping others long before I had a platform." Kelly's expression didn't change. "Help me understand that timeline, Megyn. Before you married Harry, what charitable work were you actually involved in? And please be specific. I have your pre-royal resume right here. I was involved in various causes." Megyn replied vaguely. "I worked with organizations focused on women's rights and social justice, such as." Kelly pressed. "Which ones, exactly?" "Well, there were several," Megyn stammered, clearly unprepared for this level of detail. "I don't have all the names memorized." Kelly opened her folder again. "According to your own representatives before your engagement, your charitable record consisted of one visit to a water charity in Rwanda, filmed for publicity, a few social media posts about different causes. There's no record of consistent volunteer work, financial contributions, or sustained involvement with any organization. So, when you say you've always been committed to helping others, what exactly do you mean? The cameras caught Megyn glancing toward the producers offstage, seemingly searching for intervention. None came. Trying to regain control, she said, "I think what's happening here is that you're trying to diminish the work I'm doing now because of some personal agenda. This feels like an attack, not an interview." Kelly leaned back, unfazed. Personal agenda. "Megyn, I've never met you before today. I have no connection to you or your family. What I do have is a responsibility to ask the questions viewers want, answered despotiously when public figures come on television asking for support and money." The tension in the studio thickened as Megyn realized she was facing an interviewer unlike the ones she was used to. Kelly wasn't backing down, and the other hosts sat frozen in the moment. "You know what, Megyn?" Markle tried again. "You're uncomfortable with a strong woman who speaks her truth and stands up for what she believes." Kelly's brows lifted slightly, and for the first time, she smiled genuinely. "Are you really trying to play the strong woman card with me? I've been in journalism for over 20 years. I've interviewed presidents, covered wars, and gone toe-to-toe with some of the most powerful people in the world. My career was built on not backing down from tough conversations. So don't insult us both by suggesting I'm intimidated by anyone in this room." The audience, silent until now, began to murmur. Some were visibly uncomfortable. Others energized by Kelly's sharpness. Megyn's composure continued to slip. "This is exactly the treatment I've faced from the media for years, the constant questioning, the refusal to take my word, the need to dissect everything I say. Welcome to being a public figure." Kelly replied instantly. "When you ask for people's money and support, your claims about your work and your character get questioned. That isn't persecution, it's accountability. But it's different for me," Megyn insisted. "It's different because of who I am and what I represent." Kelly paused, studying her. "What exactly do you represent, Megyn?" "I'm genuinely curious. I represent change, progress. A new way of thinking about service, duty, and using one's platform responsibly," Megyn answered, her voice growing stronger as she returned to familiar ground. Calm but pointed, Kelly responded, "Anyone can say they represent change and progress. What I'm asking is about your record. What specific changes have you implemented? What measurable progress have you achieved? Because looking at the facts, it seems you're very good at talking about change, but not so good at creating it." Joy Behar finally broke in. "Megyn, don't you think you're being a little harsh?" Kelly turned to her. "Joy, if someone came on this show claiming to be a doctor but couldn't explain basic medical procedures, would it be harsh to question their credentials? If someone said they were a teacher but couldn't name a single student, would that be unfair?" Megyn has built her post-royal brand on philanthropy and activism, but when asked for specifics, she has none. Whoopi Goldberg finally jumped in. But Megyn has been open about her experiences and her commitment to making a difference. Being open about your experiences is not the same as being effective. Kelly countered. Oprah has been open about hers, but she also built schools, created scholarships, and can point to thousands of lives she's directly changed. Ellen was open about her experiences, Kelly continued, but she also donated millions of her own money to causes she believed in. What have you actually accomplished beyond talking about your intentions? Megyn's face flushed. I don't think I should have to justify my work to someone who's already made up her mind about me. I haven't made up my mind about anything, Kelly said firmly. That's exactly why I'm asking. I came here today with an open mind, ready to learn about your work and your impact. But every question I ask is met with deflection, vague answers, or claims I'm being unfair. If you have real accomplishments, real impact, real results, then share them. Help me understand why people should support you. The camera caught Megyn looking down at her hands, struggling. When she looked up again, her expression had hardened. You want specifics? She said sharply. Fine. Through my work, I've raised awareness. I've used my platform to shine a light on ignored problems. I've given a voice to people who didn't have one. Kelly nodded. Okay, that's a start. Can you give me one specific example of an issue that was ignored until you brought attention to it? There are many, Megyn replied. Just one, Kelly pressed. One issue that wasn't getting attention until you spoke about it. The silence dragged on, heavy in television time. Megyn opened her mouth, then closed it again. The other hosts shifted uncomfortably as the pause stretched. I think, Megyn finally said, that what's happening here proves my point about how women especially, women like me are treated when we try to do good work. Kelly leaned forward. Megyn, stop. This isn't about gender. It isn't about race. It isn't about unfair treatment. This is about accountability. I asked for one example. Just one. You can't answer because the truth is, you haven't brought any new issues to light. You've talked about issues others were already working on. That's not true, Megyn said, but her voice lacked force. Then prove me wrong, Kelly challenged. Right now, live. One example, the studio was so silent the camera seemed louder. Every eye in the audience was locked on Megyn, waiting. She looked around as if searching for an escape that wasn't there. The silence grew unbearable. Finally, she whispered, mental health. I brought attention to mental health. Kelly tilted her head. Mental health was already a major public topic long before you spoke about it. Princess Diana addressed it decades ago. William and Harry had launched multiple initiatives before you joined the family. Celebrities like Demi Lovato, Lady Gaga, even Robin Williams had all been vocal. So how exactly did you bring new attention to this? Megyn's composure cracked. You know what, Megyn? I don't have to sit here being interrogated like a criminal. I came here to talk about my work, not to be attacked by someone with personal issues against me. There it is, Kelly said, leaning back with clear satisfaction. When you can't answer, when you can't show evidence, when you can't back up claims, you attack the person asking the questions. You accuse them of hidden agendas. It's the oldest trick in the book. And honestly, I expected better from someone who claims to be as smart and sophisticated as you. Sunny Hostin tried to intervene. Maybe we should move on to a different topic. No, Kelly cut her off. We're not moving on because this is the problem. Every time Megyn gets tough questions, someone steps in to protect her, to change the subject, to excuse why she can't give straight answers. That doesn't help her, it enables her. Megyn stood, her mic still clipped. I don't have to listen to this. Actually, you do, Kelly replied calmly, still seated. You agreed to come on this show. You signed the contracts. You cashed the check. And more importantly, you owe it to the people who donated to your foundation and supported your causes too. Answer these questions. They deserve to know where their money went and what impact their support actually had. My impact can't be measured in spreadsheets and statistics, Megyn said, her voice rising. Sometimes the most important work is about changing hearts and minds, about inspiring people, about showing them what's possible. Kelly finally stood, facing her directly. That's beautiful rhetoric, Megyn, but it's meaningless. Hearts and minds don't change because of Instagram posts and vague speeches about empowerment. They change through real action, real sacrifice, by people doing the hard work every day without cameras following them around. You don't know anything about sacrifice, Megyn shot back. You don't know what I've given up, what I've endured, what I've faced. You're right, Kelly said. I don't know what you've sacrificed, but I do know what you've gained: fame, wealth, influence, and a platform most people could never dream of. And when someone is given that much, when they benefit that much from public support, they have a responsibility to use it effectively. Not just to talk about it, but to actually do it. The audience was captivated, some nodding in agreement with Kelly. Others sympathetic to Megyn. The division in the room was unmistakable. Megyn took a deep breath, trying to regain her composure. I think what's really happening here is that you're threatened by women who don't fit into traditional boxes, who challenge the status quo, who refuse to be silenced. Kelly laughed, but without warmth. Megyn, I've spent my career refusing to fit into traditional boxes. I've been called every name in the book for asking tough questions and refusing to back down. The difference between us is that when people challenge me, I can point to my work. I can show the stories I've broken, the corruption I've exposed, the powerful people I've held accountable. I don't hide behind inspirational language and victim narratives. So now I'm playing the victim. Megyn asked, incredulous. You tell me, Kelly replied. Every time someone asks you a direct question, you make it about being mistreated. Every time someone asks for evidence of your impact, you turn it into how hard your life has been. Every time someone points out inconsistencies, you accuse them of having personal issues with you. What would you call that? The other hosts looked uncomfortable, but stayed silent. Kelly had Megyn cornered. And everyone in the studio knew it. I came here to talk about important issues, Megyn said, her voice shaking. Issues that affect real people, that matter to communities around the world. Instead, you've turned this into a personal attack. No, Megyn, Kelly said, her tone softer, but still firm. I came here to talk about important issues too. Accountability in philanthropy. The responsibility that comes with having a platform. The difference between talking about change and actually creating it. These are issues that affect real people who donate their hard-earned money to causes they believe in. Megyn sat back down, clearly defeated. I think we have very different ideas about what constitutes meaningful work. Maybe we do, Kelly agreed. But the people watching, the people supporting your foundation, the people who look up to you, they deserve to know what your idea of meaningful work looks like in practice. They deserve specifics, not just inspiring speeches. The show was running long, but no one wanted to cut to break. This was television gold, a raw, unscripted moment that would be remembered for years. Finally, Whoopi spoke. Well, this has certainly been an enlightening conversation. Kelly turned to the camera. The most important thing for viewers to remember is that when public figures ask for your support, your money, your trust, you have every right to ask tough questions. You have every right to demand accountability. Don't let anyone convince you that asking for evidence and specifics is unfair. People doing real, meaningful work aren't afraid of those questions because they have real answers. As the show finally went to commercial, Megyn sat stunned while Kelly calmly gathered her papers. The studio buzzed with chatter, and the other hosts looked uncertain about what had just unfolded.